It's a Sunday morning, another beautiful day here on planet Earth in this universe. All the major religions of the world, as far as I know, have a day of the week specifically set aside to rest and to worship and to pray. To me, that's significant because it's saying that we need a day to rest. And in fact, there's really good scientific data that says that human beings need, a normal, healthy person needs about 1 day a week to just almost do nothing in order for the body to have a healing process. And I guess, for whatever reason, that's just all worked into this plan, whether it was worked out by people and society and cultures over time, that they just recognized that that's what we needed, was this day of rest and worship and time to give thanks. It's all of those things rejuvenate the brain and the body. I don't know. Was it just a miracle that it was decided that we needed 1 day every 7 days? And again, if you're a person who's maybe got some health issues and things like that, obviously it's a little different. It's probably also a little different for young people too, since you're almost always in a state of wonder and in your own way. I think little kids are just praising and worshiping God all the time. And all human beings need to worship and pray, they say, without ceasing. But I think you can just take that to mean that you should always be conscious and aware that you're part of God's creation, you're part of this universe, you're part of the oneness of it all, that all your wonderful creatures and nature and your fellow humans are all part of one, one creation under God. And I think that's what 6 days of the week should be. You should always have a sense of worship and praise for this great experience called life, and for God. And then 1 day a week really set aside. And there's certainly things that you would do with a religious organization, with your church, that would be on more days of the week than just Sunday. So a lot of people go to a worship service on Wednesdays in the middle of the week, and of course they do stuff with their church all different occasions. But I do think it's important that even in the Bible it says 1 day a week, because I believe that's not just to say that no less than 1 day a week. I think it really means 1 day a week, because more than 1 day a week and you're kind of missing the point of it all. Now, if you're during a special holiday season, for example, where there's the whole holiday is set aside for worshiping, like Easter, it's a multi-day holiday, or in other religions they have other periods of time like that. That's a little different. That's a broad, if you've experienced some sort of loss in your life, like the death of a loved one, then you can take a longer mourning period, which is a lot like a Sabbath. It's just a longer period of time. We also use that concept in our careers. There's a thing called a sabbatical, and that's when people who have a career take time off from their career to try and refocus on life, or some important thing, or just to enjoy life. So, this concept of everything's the same all the time, like a cookie cutter, that's not exactly what I'm trying to say. But what I am trying to say is that we need to be careful to not take something and like the Sabbath and misunderstand it. There's a reason for why it's one day a week. We should be able to gain the benefits of using the one day a week for recognizing God and for worshiping God, and then we take that spirit with us all through the rest of the week, and that's when we really go out and do the work that we're meant to do. And I say the work, I mean that in a broad sense. I don't mean necessarily one specific job or occupation, because there's lots of jobs and occupations that people get caught up in and they forget about God. So that's not what I mean, but I mean they call it God's work. The Jewish religion uses that term specifically a lot, and I think they use it to continuously remind themselves of whatever their purpose is here on life. It's ultimately the purpose of God. So whatever you're doing God's work. If God is in your mind and you're directing it towards the purpose that He's put you here for. So now you can delude yourself with that. Be a little careful. It doesn't just mean you can go out and do anything and say, well, I'm doing it for God and it's okay. That's not, that's just what humans will do that. We're not perfect. We're all sinners and we all do things that we shouldn't do. And we try to convince ourselves that they're okay to do. But besides that point, which is kind of a little bit of a serious point and humorous at the same time, because we got to laugh at ourselves as well, because we're not going to do everything right. That's just going to be the way it is. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do wrong things. Your friends are going to do wrong things. Your friends are going to make mistakes. There's got to be a lot of forgiveness and in life. But yeah, so some people, I think, take this idea that they are supposed to get caught up in the more they go to church, the better they are, and that's not true. There's a reason for it. It's one day a week, and then if you need more for very specific reasons, like you have pain in your life and those sorts of things, then of course that might be a period of time in your life where you need to go to more church. Or if you make a career, so to speak, you make it your life's work to be in religion, then of course you would spend a lot of time at a church working with people. And again, too, outside of church, doing church things is a different kind of work where you're, maybe trying to go out and help people, or that's very important. It's so important to be involved with your community and helping people who might need whether it's just a friendly call or something more serious where somebody really needs some help, those kinds of things. But that's not the same thing as going to church. That's actual, that's an effort to do something very specific that's important. But there's a lot of people who would like for you to just watch them on television preaching 7 days a week and tell you that you're being good doing that. And that's not all that there is. It's just an example of how we can take something that the Bible tells us specifically. There's one day a week, that's the Sabbath. It's a very important day. We should honor it. We shouldn't set it aside and throw it away. And at the same time, we shouldn't abuse it as some sort of excuse to overindulge in going to church as well. You got to be a balance. And again, it's not one size fits all. It's a little bit different for different people, but that's an important distinction to make about the Sabbath. And I think as people get older and they move away from having a family and careers, then they might gravitate more towards spending more time in the church and that sort of thing, and within their religion. And that's a natural progression. That's not the same thing as getting too caught up in the ceremonial parts of religion on more days of the week than necessary. So you should be confident in your relationship with God and your life, and you should carry that with you through 6 days of the week, and then have a day of the week on a normal week that's set aside more so for relaxing and focusing and thinking on God and God's creation. But it's not me saying that. That's so interesting that not only our history of mankind has decided upon that and the teachings of God and whatnot, but science also seems to back that up. So it's a beautiful thing. And today's Sunday, so I'm here in nature. Probably should go to church, but at least I'm going to pray and think about God and this wonderful life that we've got. I love you.